Welcome to the Newark Museum's newest podcast. I'm Mary Sue Sweeney Price, Museum Director, and we'd like to welcome you to Constructive Spirit, Abstract Art in South and North America.
Hi, I'm Mary Kate OHare, Associate Curator of American Art at the Newark Museum and Curator of Constructive Spirit.
I'm Tricia Laughlin-Bloom. I'm a Research Associate in the American Art Department at the Newark Museum.
I'm Adele Nelson, doctoral student at the Institute of Fine Arts, New York University.
I'm Gabriel Pérez Barreiro, Director of the Colección Patricia Phelps de Cisneros.
Constructive Spirit is an exhibition that brings together abstract art from the 20s through the 1950s from artists from North and South America, the United States, Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Venezuela. 93 works of art, 68 artists represented who were working in a style that's known as geometric abstraction. And this type of abstract art is typified by hard-edged lines, bright, pure colors. It's not a gestural type of abstraction.
But the connections are, I think, immediately obvious. I think anyone who walks through this exhibition will understand just visually these works do speak to each other. It's as if they're speaking a common language.
At the same time period, you have artists all around North and South America really rediscovering the indigenous roots, the ancient roots, and looking for universal themes to wed with abstract art forms.
This piece is by Joaquín Torres-García, a locomotive with Constructive House. He painted this in 1934, which was the year he just returned to his birth city, Montevideo in Uruguay. Torres-García here is using primary colors. He's using a palette that was promoted by an artist he greatly admired, the Dutch artist Piet Mondrian. But what fascinates me is how Torres-García treats these primaries in a very different way. He seems to have put sort of a darkening wash on top of the colors. They're sort of muddied. And when I look at this painting, to me, it evokes Montevideo.
This painting is called Idea Visível, which translates as Visible Idea, by Valdemar Cordeiro, Brazilian artist who was working in the 1950s. This is a work that is pure geometry. There's no reference here to, an abstracted building or a figure, as there might be in the work of Torres Garcia, for example. Here it really is just a pure, almost a diagram. It almost looks like a diagram out of a mathematics textbook. There's something also very moving, I think, about this idea that the whole universe is structured on mathematical principles. And I think these are the first artists, maybe in the history of the world, who just take that as their guiding principle and try to represent what that might look like. Despite the modest scale of the work, and it's really just one color with another color lines on top, as simple as it could possibly be, but I think the ideas that it communicates are actually very complex and in a way very beautiful.
I'd like to speak a bit about a painting by Leon Polk-Smith. The title is OK Territory, and he is making a reference to the geography of the state of Oklahoma. On one level, it is a pleasing arrangement of rectangles overlapping with other rectangles. And on another level, you may see a fragment of a Native American textile or a basket. Polk-Smith is actually of Native American heritage himself. So his abstract geometric paintings often reference Native American weavings. So you ask the question, is it abstract or is it representing something? And for many of these artists, the answer is both.
Alexander Calder is perhaps one of the most recognizable U.S. artists. The work is entitled Triple Gong, and he made it in 1951. When you come to the Newark Museum and see Constructive Spirit, you'll see this piece and realize that you've seen works of his outside of office buildings or in airports. The work is enormous. It has a diameter when it rotates of 19 feet, and it's composed of suspended elements of metal, specifically 3 gongs, these metal sound-making discs, and tear-shaped pieces of aluminum that are painted in primary colors. This is a radical departure from our idea of a sculpture of a piece of bronze or marble sitting on a pedestal. Instead, this is this mobile, completely variable thing that viewers will experience differently every time they walk under it and each time the wind blows.
I'm looking at a photograph by the Brazilian artist Waldo de Barros. This photograph is a photo of a train shed in the Sao Paulo train station in 1949. He did this all by hand. He took his camera and he held it up to the tops, presumably, of the train shed, and then rotated his camera 3 times. What you're seeing is literally the exposures that he took on site. And so the result ultimately is this incredible polygon-like shapes and forms and this grid-like organization that then is overlapped with all sorts of other diagonal lines. There's this whole element of chance in how he actually created this photograph.
This 1955 work by the Venezuelan artist Jesús Rafael Soto, that's called Kinetic Structure with Geometric Elements. Now, this is a part of a type of art that's called kinetic art. The idea is that these are artworks that only exist in movement. That's the reason why the photographs never do them any justice. What it is 2 sheets of plastic which are separated in space. And so each of those sheets has a geometric pattern on it. And so as you look at it, what happens is as you move in front of this piece, the different grids interact and they create this kind of shimmering effect, which your eye can't quite understand what's happening. And even just the smallest move of your head will create this kind of shift in the pattern. So it almost looks like there's something living or there's something moving, there's something that's changing. You're not sure if what you're seeing is in front, is behind, if it's in this kind of virtual space. And what the artists here are trying to do is involve you physically in the work.
What makes this show wonderful is really getting to know a group of artists that we don't really know that well.
These are all artists who had very strong beliefs about art, about its place in the world, about the way society should be organized. And it's almost like each painting is a little manifesto.
I think it will really change the way people think about abstraction.
Here in the United States, we tend to think of abstraction in terms of abstract expressionism.
Typically, there's a sense of abstract art having a very serious quality that is hard to understand.
So I think one big contribution that the show makes is rescuing this history that gets sort of pushed under the carpet.
A lot of these works are so gorgeous visually that they will just take you right past that.
Perhaps a secondary effect of this exhibition is that it challenges a lot of our stereotypes of what we think Latin American art looks like.
This is going to really challenge what you've learned in the past about which artists go together.
All of a sudden, all these relationships between artists of the Americas that were participating in this interest in a universal geometric language come spilling out.
These works are just completely alive with energy and passion, and I hope that people walk away with some of that.
I'm Mary Sue Price, and I invite you to visit this exhibition and all of the treasures in our 80 galleries. The Newark Museum, 100 years always new. To learn more, visit us at newarkmuseum.org.
The Newark Museum's Centennial Celebration is sponsored by Prudential. Major support for Constructive Spirit, abstract art in South and North America, 1920s through 50s, has also been provided by the Henry Luce Foundation, the National Endowment for the Arts, Johnson & Johnson, the Colección Patricia Phelps de Cisneros, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, the Richmond County Savings Foundation, and the Consulate General of Brazil in New York.